Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday morning edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander. Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, back in the saddle here today. J-Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday morning, my friend, as we're about 20 days out from the Eagles reporting to training camp?
Yeah, 20 days out. The countdown has begun. And, list season is in full-blown mode. Jeremy Fowler stuff is coming out every day now, top 10 players, which I think is one of the important ones. So we'll talk about that. Good news on the corners. No edge rushers, but that's understandable. We mentioned Saquon yesterday still being very high amongst the running backs. Is that reputational or is that real?
Right.
We're going to see. But, most people around this league still think this is a really, really good team. And I retweeted also Football Insights. I get a kick out of it's pretty good follow on X. Tabulated now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different offensive line preseason rankings, and they compiled it into one. And the composite view is the Eagles are number 2, and nobody has them worse than number 5. And again, so much of this league gets lost in the sauce. I talk about being spoiled by this offensive line, and they had a little bit of a down year from their reputationally, but they were still top 10. And again, you measure it against their peers, and they're just better than the vast majority of other teams, with the possible exception of Denver. And that's a good foundation to start with. Because
and what's the Johnny Mac take, though? Do you believe it is real?
Well, as long as they're healthy. I mean, that's the big. We all know close to it. Look, all you can do is project and say, well, they have Lane Johnson, they have Landon Dickerson, they have Cam Jurgens, they have Jordan Mailata, and Tyler Steen's pretty good as well. By the way, people don't give him credit. That's pretty damn good. But locally, we know what's going on with Landon Dickerson. Maybe nationally, a lot of people don't realize that. What's going on with Cam Jurgens? What's going on with Lane Johnson? So is it realistic to expect that group of 5 to be healthy for 18 weeks, 17 games to get it and then make a playoff run? Probably not. And the depth isn't what it once was, even if you go back to last season. Brett Toth has played good football last season. He's not here anymore. He's in San Francisco. Fred Johnson is okay. He's capable. Obviously, it's a big drop-off from Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata, but he's still there. You have Markel Bell now in the mix, but as a rookie. They have like 6 second-year guys. They just carpet bombed the position on day 3 of the draft, and undrafted, even waivers with Willie Lampkin. Can 1 or 2 of those guys step up? I don't know, but they're not proven. I know that. So, look, if those 5 guys are healthy, you're going to be fine. If those 5 guys play 17 games, you're going to be in the playoffs. You're going to be a significant contender. And you're going to be fine. I don't care who the play caller is. I don't care even how the quarterback plays. You're going to be fine. Will there be nitpicking? Yes. But you're going to be good. So that to me is if you want to boil it all the way down, which I know people love to do, and you can because there's so many things that enter the equation. But if those 5 guys stay healthy and play every game, the Eagles are going to be a really good football team.
Well, it feels like that to me too, John. But I also can't just look past some of the losses the team has had. They did lose Reed and Kobe and Phillips. I feel as though they've replaced pretty well with Jonathan Grenard. Obviously AJ Brown. So it does feel like there's been some significant losses on the team that I don't just want to gloss over. I don't believe that they're going to be the story of the season, but I could understand how someone would say, I need to see it a little bit more from this Eagles team before I can put them back to the Super Bowl contender conversation.
Well, that I agree with as well. I mean, they're not as talented as they have been over the past couple of years. They're not as deep. We talk about that with their own top 25 Eagles on SI. They're not as talented as they are. They did lose a bunch of good players, and potentially, there's positives at edge rusher, positives potentially at linebacker. Ironically, the one guy they haven't replaced pretty clearly is Reed Blankenship, at least to this point. We'll see if they add somebody else. Obviously, you're not going to replace A.J. Brown from a talent perspective, and they tried to moneyball that. How effective is that going to be? But, all the offensive stuff, which are the main questions, the defense is going to be good. It's just a matter of how good. That is unquestionable. They're going to be good. And they even have depth. I think their depth at linebacker is still tremendous because I think Jeremiah Trotter can play.
Any concern on that run defense? John, if you remember, John had a pretty good start last year. The run defense was the one area that really, improved once Nakobe came back. Any concern there? That would be my only and it's not a big concern. It's just a minor. Well, Nakobe Dean was a good player. I don't want to delegitimize, him as a player and the loss of that player.
No, because part of that is schematic, and you've seen in Vic's history. If there is an issue, he'll fix it quickly, and he'll fix it by dropping people. He'll go to a 6-man front if he has to, and completely shut things down. And he's done it in the past. He's done it famously to Sean McVay that Bill Belichick copied and ultimately won a Super Bowl with. He's done it with the Eagles. They were struggling early, and it was that New Orleans game that was kind of ugly when everybody's like, "Oh, they're giving up," and he rolled it out. He rolled out that 6-man front.
Yeah, I remember that.
Completely shut it down. So a lot of that is schematic in that he wants to keep the extra guy, the +1 on defense and coverage, because that's what the NFL demands right now, at least against the good teams who can throw the football. And that'll change, but he's very good at adjusting. So, sometimes although he would never admit this, sometimes he's okay with giving up couple runs if you're limiting the explosive passing plays. And that's his goal. So part of that is just baked into his philosophy. But if it tips over to where he is legitimately concerned, he'll just roll out 5 or 6-man fronts and completely shut it down.
Yeah, it does feel like overall, John, that's still a championship level defense. I mean, a lot of confidence in that unit. I think the offense has fair questions to answer. But we talked about this yesterday. They won 11 football games last year. And the offense was what it was.
Let's be honest, I always say that, and sorry to interrupt you, but they really would have won 12. They shut down week 18 against the Washington Commanders. If they're playing, they're playing. I mean, the Commanders had checked out by that point. They're playing their starters. They're a 12-win team in the regular season. Still a disappointing loss in the playoffs. That's not going to – that I've never wavered on. That was a brutal loss, an unacceptable loss, considering how banged up San Francisco was. That was a terrible loss. But, yeah, I mean, they really had a 12-win team. And people act like it's the end of the world.
Right. So I think with that being said, we don't need the offense to be as good as some of us probably desire the offense to be. You just need them to be competent. Don't have the 3 and outs like they did last year. Be able to move the ball to some extent. And I guess maybe that's where, was it Nick Sirianni that gave that quote? If we can end every drive with a kick, whether it's a punt, maybe that's where that part of that makes sense. You rely on the defense. You don't turn the football over,
By the way, that is not unique in the NFL. Like, he's not the first person to say that. Not one of the more famous cliches, but it's a cliche. You want to end every drive in a kick because that's a positive outcome. A lot of people hated that. BLG, who's not going to be on today because he's on vacation. I hope he has a good time. He really hated that quote. And I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, look, it's not the end of the world if you punt. It's the end of the world if you're 3rd and 15 and you're trying to convert and you have an interception and you turn them. That's the end. That's what you're trying to avoid. And obviously you want to have a touchdown, and if you want to boil it down even further, you want to finish every drive with an extra point. And you want to finish every drive, which is not possible. So you want to finish every drive with an extra point or a field goal. Well, sometimes that happens. You saw the effectiveness of Indianapolis last year for that short stretch when they were scoring on every drive. And then the third is, it's better to punt the ball and live for another day. I mean, that's just football 101. It's not the end of the world. And I still believe the strength of this team is their ball security, and has been over this run. I mean, you think about Jalen Hurts, who did not have a good season last year from his prior standards. He had 6 interceptions last year. 4 were in one game.
Yeah, right. That's pretty crazy. 2 in how many other games? 15 he played?
15, yeah. So he played 16 games. So he had 4 in one game. That was the Chargers game. And they still had a chance to win that till his last interception, amazingly. And he had 2 in 15 games. Now, yeah, is there a risk-averse part of that? Yes. And that's a give and take that you'd like to get a little bit better, but, be careful what you wish for if they start turning the football over.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening with that, Johnny Mac. Going to be interesting to see how this team, what this team looks like early in the year. But I do think they are a good team still with the highest level this year. So I'm excited to kind of see it. But it's just the thing that I've been. I mean, to John McMullen, when's the last time Jalen had an up year?
Well, I the one,
what I mean? Like, I'm trying to reconcile that, because the other thing you always say to me, John, and rightfully so, is things move fast in the NFL, really fast.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me the last time Jalen really played to the level we need him to play to was 22 or 23, less the turnovers, that's starting to be a while ago.
No, it is. I mean, 2024 is what you want. I would say is the template. And just efficient football, like you're never going to have an explosive passing offense. I don't think, certainly not now without AJ Brown. So from what I think there's 2 different perceptions. What most fans want, I think you haven't seen that since 2022, and which is a long time ago. And for what the Eagles want, you got to go back to 2024, which is efficiency. So I think there's 2 different conversations, and I'm more in the camp of efficiency. I'm not expecting number 2 in the MVP voting. Part of that is just winning. If you win, you're going to be, and you're a quarterback, you're going to be high in MVP voting. But he had a legitimately good year that
Feels
year.
to me though like 24 is not the template that the team is pursuing.
Well, the efficiency part of it is. And how do you get them more efficient? The interesting thing to me, again, is, and I think the more important thing is the running aspect. So, what are you saying by making this shift? Are you saying it's off the table now? Because then I think you got to have some difficult conversations. And are you really going to go into a season where, look, hey, it doesn't matter what I think. Everybody, they got the second best starting lineup. They got the second best offensive line. They got this. They got that. They got the most talented or second most talented defense. That sounds to me like a Super Bowl contender, Zander. You want to go into this season saying, yeah, we're going to try to change him into a pocket passer and see if it works or not.
Right.
That doesn't ring true to me. So ultimately, I think they're going to just build the offense around Jalen Hurts, and they're playing the political game. But I can't say that. I can't say I'm 100% right.
Yeah, I mean, clean some stuff up. Your defense is going to be great again. And are you a 13-win team just by default? You might be, John. You might be.
Yeah.
And I look at the division too, and I think Dallas has done some good things, but I think they're maybe a 10-win team. I look at the Giants and the Commanders. I don't know that they're ready yet. Like, I think that the division is still right there for the Eagles to go and three-peat it. So it does feel like the Eagles still are in a great position to be one of the best teams in football. I guess the question will be if they go and do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to perform, obviously. But yeah, they're certainly still well regarded around the league.
You think Howie's had a good offseason?
Yeah, I don't think at this stage, I think he's at a position in his job where he's got so much experience and so much know-how. I think it's hard for him to have a bad offseason, to be honest. Everything comes down to evaluation. So if you get players wrong, that's what it all comes down to. But I don't think he's going to make bad decisions. He's just
right. It's degrees of good with Howie, not
yeah,
good or
exactly.
bad.
So I mean, obviously, if Mekhi Lemon doesn't work out, it'll be labeled a bad decision. If Dontavian Wicks can't play and Hollywood Brown doesn't step up and the passing game really misses AJ and he goes and has 1,500 yards in New England, people will proclaim that a bad offseason, things like that. So it's always about evaluation, but I look at it a little bit differently. I look at like, does everything he does make sense? And typically the answer is yes. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but it makes sense. The lone exception, and it's not really his purview, the lone exception is the coaching scheme changes, which confound me. But we're going to see if it's real, how real it is. If it's just about hiring a smart guy and that smart guy is going to build around what he has, then it's going to work. If it's about hiring a scheme, it's not going to work.
Is the perception, is your perception of it right now that it is a scheme, but the John McMullen logic is pulling you away from that? Like, in other words, are you seeing one thing, but you're believing another because you don't want to believe what you're seeing? Because it does feel like you're trying to get a new scheme in.
No, every day I was at OTAs and minicamp, I reported what was going on.
Right.
They're trying to evolve. That's not they were trying to evolve in 2024.
You're trying to evolve every year, right? That's
exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously they're trying to evolve in a different philosophy because they think that philosophy will fix, believe it or not, the running game more than the passing game, which also confounds people because you have Jeff Stoutland here and everybody. Well, how could you get better than Jeff Stoutland? Well, for better or for worse, they believe teams caught up to them. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's what they believe. So this is their answer to it. Again, the quarterback aspect of that, I think, is a big part of it. And, maybe their philosophy is, well, if you don't have, and this, by the way, I would agree with. If you don't have a +1 in the running game with the quarterback, well, why are you in shotgun or why are you a gun-heavy, pistol-heavy offense? That's fair. Like, if you're taking that part of it out, that's fair. So that's what concerns me. That has become the biggest concern of me for this team. Is that what they're saying? Like that's no longer relevant to the offense. So we have to and that makes sense. But boy, that's bad news.
Yeah, well, you might be right, Johnny Mac. We'll see what it all shakes out this year. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here this morning on Birds 365, a Wednesday edition, which means we got the great Mike Gill set to join us right here. I haven't talked to Mike in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to talking to Mike. You can follow him at Mike Gill Show. Listen to him at 97.3 ESPN Down the Shore, the best show in all of New Jersey. Mike, welcome to the program today. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing good, boys. What's going on, Zander? Congratulations.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Good to be back.
Yeah, exciting. He's a world traveler, just like Mike Gill. I'm behind now. I got to get back to traveling to Europe and beyond. I got to tell you, though, I've been there, done that. I don't want to do it again, Mike. You guys are world travelers, though.
I don't think you can put me in that conversation, John.
Well, no, sure. Why not? Just had 2 weeks in Italy.
Now, when you go to Egypt,
I found myself yesterday pulling hard for Egypt to win that game against Argentina. I cannot believe it. I actually I used the WhatsApp to message a guy that I met over there, and we were talking back and forth through the app yesterday during that game. I couldn't believe it.
Nice.
Yeah, I got the WhatsApp of a couple leather stores, Mike, because they got the nice leather in Italy, not like the shit plastic we sell here in the States. So like, hey, you ever want something, you can WhatsApp me. I'm like, all right, I'll take your WhatsApp down. So I got
on the WhatsApp. Everything's on the WhatsApp over there.
Yep, that's it.
Now, for you, Mike, because I know you're going to continue to travel the world, are you thinking about Belgium now? Because they boat raced us and embarrassed us. And you
Belgium was already high on the list of places that we're looking at. I actually think I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not going anywhere else the rest of the year. My girlfriend's leaving me behind. She's going to Norway.
All right.
Yeah, I can't go because it's during the football season. So I'm technically, it's a little busy time for me. So Norway is coming up there. Belgium is one that possibly Belgium and Romania are the two places we're kind of looking at for 2027.
I like it. Now Norway had a nice little run as well.
They're still playing, still alive, man.
With the Viking row, whatever they do, they become
now that guy, the guy on that team looks like he could kick a 78-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I mean,
NFL might.
Our NFL teams like watching. Now these guys aren't leaving; they make too much money. But like, holy
international pathway player. Yeah, I don't think he's making the same money.
Right,
I'm astonished. The guy who got the red card in the U.S., Balakun, like he makes like $40 million wherever he plays.
Yeah, so we were talking about this the other day. This is actually like a very, like our American football, we wrapped it into our conversation the other day as to why soccer just is what it is. Like it's a cool event every 4 years. There are Americans that do watch the Premier League. I'm not one of those people. But for that sport to really grow, it has to, like, the fan base in America has to get behind the MLS and make that league bigger and make us care about it. The players don't care about it, so the fans don't care about it. And one of the reasons is they can't make the money here. They just can't make the money unless you are Messi and you're just like, you hate to say he's like a vanity show. Like, even though he's still really good, they're just paying him millions because of his name. And nobody else is making the money that they really should be able to make. So they have to, like, if you're a young kid, you might start off by playing football. Maybe your parents say, I don't want you to play because of the head injury stuff. So then they move to maybe a different sport, or basketball or baseball or lacrosse or swim or row. And when they suck at all those, they say, now I'll try soccer. And you're not a 6-year-old kid yearning to say, I want to move to Belgium to play professionally, because that's the goal. If you want to be at the ultimate level, you've got to move overseas. Those guys yearn to move here to play whatever sport they get to. And that is the major, major difference in why that sport, we've been hearing it my whole life. It's growing. It's coming. Yeah, a lot of kids are playing it, but it's not. The team here stinks. The team stinks. Our team stinks because we don't care.
Now, because I don't pay attention. And when I say Belligan makes $40 million, not a year, it's like his entire contract. But still, that's a lot of money. I kind of push back on that, Mike, because
yeah, sure, go for it.
They were ranked 14th in the world coming into this. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Now I've been told by Jeff Kerr, I don't know if that's Jeff, how the FIFA is a joke, which I think people know.
FIFA rankings are not to be trusted.
Yeah, well, nothing's to be trusted, but still, I mean, they were favored. The irony is, people, what a run! They were favored in every game they played, including the Belgian game, which they lost. They were favored to win that game. And then if they would have gotten through Belgium, then they would have hit the big teams, and would have been a significant.
You got to keep in mind, the field was expanded. I ask it this way: in hockey this year, the Flyers won a round in the playoffs. But if the playoffs were the way they used to be, where the 1 played the 8, they would have got swept in the first round by Carolina. That's who they should have played, and they would have got swept, and we would have said, well, they're not good enough. They're not even close. If the playoffs were the way they were supposed to be. Instead, they got this wonky system where they got to play Pittsburgh in the first round. So then you win a round, and now you're excited, like, they won a playoff round. That's what the American team did. They played a group stage that Ocean City High School down the shore would have competed with, and then that made them look like they had a couple of wins under their belt. If you watch that game, and you could see the difference in how slow they are and just how unadvanced they are next to a really,
I agree.
Really good team.
They were embarrassed by that was like I compared that was like a 40-50 point Sixers loss. That's what that was. Minute 1, like they had 7 shots in the first. You're like, this game's over. It was like the closer against the Knicks, where it was just
Belgium, who's a second-tier European team. They are not even at the top of the tiers. They're sitting some of their better players because they thought we were a joke. The whole sideshow that happened beforehand, then Belgium says, we're not even going to play some of our best guys, and we'll still embarrass you. It was a complete, utter joke of the difference of where we are in the tier system.
Yeah,
versus,
how many? All right, let's lean
well,
on
it's
your.
like, okay, for instance, I'm a baseball guy. I think the World Baseball Classic is a joke. It's pathetic. There's no need for a World Baseball Classic.
Well, I agree.
There's only 4 countries that can play baseball, right?
I agree.
USA, Japan, and I don't know. That's about it. There's not a lot of teams.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. If that's the definition, again, you know me, Ricky Bobby rules. Yeah, we're not. We're not one of the best 4 teams. Clearly, not even close.
No,
the USA.
We're
so
not
how
one of the
deep
best
does that go?
We're not one of the best 16 teams either.
Are they legitimately a top 20 team in the world? Because FIFA says 14 coming in.
Maybe top 20.
Is that real or is that
fake?
The
drop. I think Probably top 20, yes. But the drop off from, I don't even, like 16 is weird because the way the brackets are and the pools, they expanded the field, which put teams in that really shouldn't be in. It's like Israel having a baseball team. Like some of these teams just were here because of where they're located.
Hey, look at Costa Verde.
So are
they almost had the biggest upset in the history of the world, but
sports. In the history of sports, that game would have been the biggest upset in the history of sports. So yeah, they're in the top 20, but the drop off from like 15 to 20 is probably significant.
All right, that's fair. I mean, look, they got a 38-year-old defenseman who looked like he was playing in quicksand. Yeah, I mean, the goalkeeper's local kid that play was a disaster. I mean, that game was the Sixers against the Knicks closeout game. Like I said,
it's
game's over things. 5 minutes in. You knew the game was over 5 minutes in.
In that sport, you have to be willing to give up your childhood essentially to be at that level. They give up their childhood. They go to these academies from like 4 years old on, and that's all they do. An American parent is not giving their kid's childhood up to go play that sport. And there's the gap. That's the gap right there. In football, American football, you can play football in the fall and then take off, and everybody takes off. Everybody's on the same channel there. Over there, they're playing like that 4 years. We won't talk about soccer for 4 more years, basically, now, or care as much as
I'll talk about the union occasionally and how they won't sign anybody of relevance. But yeah,
but that's the problem. That's the problem. Until we get to the point, whereas I think the only good thing about that game the other night came from Carly Lloyd. She was the only person that had the cojones to just say, this guy wasn't good enough. They were an embarrassment. And that's what they need. They need to hear. It's not, oh, it was a great story and the country fell in love with soccer. It's not cute. If you want it to stay cute, it'll be cute every 4 years. If you want it to grow, you need to criticize the problems so that they're fixed. And that's what we do in our sports here. The Eagles aren't good enough. You got to get better. You got to do this. And then eventually things happen. Every 4 years we hear, oh, it's growing. And that was a great run. And it was so fun for 2 weeks. And then guess what? You keep getting knocked out at the same time because you're not good enough.
By the way, I saw Carly Lloyd kick like a 55-yard field goal at the then NovaCare complex.
Is she available for hire?
It's different. Ironically, she was there a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago now, when they were having joint practices with the Ravens. So Justin Tucker, in his prime, was also there. And they were just dueling back and forth. Now, she was kicking 55 off a tee. No, Jordan Davis sitting in front of her. She's not kicking over. But the ball coming out, and I should talk about it more. I always talk about seeing Tom Brady in practice, Myles Garrett in practice. Other guys, Justin Tucker. The way the football came off that guy's foot in his prime, it was like a shotgun blast. So she would make a 50-yarder, and he'd go out and hit a 55 and 60 and keep going back. But it was a fun day. At the then NovaCare complex, now Jefferson Health. All right, we got the U.S. men's national team embarrassing 50-point loss. That's how I described it to Belgium. Mike is not going to Belgium, although he might go to Belgium in the future. We'll see.
In the future.
How that's and give them credit for destroying us. I'm all
for needing to get embarrassed to get better. You like the whole thing needed to happen. Hopefully that will now.
Hopefully it happened to Sixers, man. Maybe that's why they went out and got Jalen Brown. Maybe that's why.
I don't know. That's been 25 years.
Well, yeah, but I mean, right now.
Although you can make a I remember, 94 World Cup, 98 World Cup, 2002 World Cup, and the same results. So maybe they're the same thing. They just keep getting knocked out in the field of 16.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Yeah, people act like they haven't done it before. They have gotten that far before.
Right.
And it's disappointing. I think if you win that game and you get to the Elite Eight, I think it's okay if you lose that game.
Sure. I've been asking this question, okay, and again, I'm not like a soccer fan. I don't hate the sport. I said I've been watching this.
I kind of like the sport. I enjoy the one.
Well, I'm watching these games with the hope, and look, Argentina, Egypt, I'm into it. England game the other day against Mexico, I'm into it. I can get into the game. When I watch our team play, I'm not into it. They stink. Watching those games are different. My question has been, if the United States of America won the World Cup, what would it even mean for soccer in this country? I don't think it changes anything. I think it's like the Olympics. It comes every 4 years. We watch it for a couple weeks. We have conversations like this, and then it goes away. I understand the sport is highly popular with kids. A lot of kids play.
But why do they play? They play because their parents don't want them to get hurt.
Their kids.
Exactly.
I say that all the time, John. It's a 2-hour babysitting on a Saturday where they can just drop them off and go do errands with a dad who's never actually played the game out there telling them to dribble around. That's all that it is. But if they won the World Cup, what would that mean for that sport in this country? The best players are still going to go play overseas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not changing. That what it would do if they, by grace of God, make the World Cup finals, those TV ratings would be massive. Massive.
It would be.
But to your point, it's not going to carry over.
No,
it's not going to carry over.
No, it's like whenever there's a great hockey story, the United States wins gold. Okay, I mean, I don't know what that does for the sport in general. It's a great moment. It's a great event, and that's cool, and that's okay. But it seems like there are people that are like, soccer's coming. It's coming. It's growing.
No, it's not. It's not.
It might be.
Could it surpass
in popularity
hockey as number 4? I think that it could do that.
Until in hockey, Russians, Czechs, wherever you play hockey, Norway, Sweden, Finland, when they grow up, they say, I want to get to America to play in the NHL. Our kids here have to say, when I grow up, I want to go to Europe to play soccer. And that is the problem.
Is it a problem, though, or is it just how it is?
Well, it's not a problem. It's just why the sport, no matter what happens here with that team, this is what it is. It's just an event every 4 years. And I'm okay with that. But there are there are people out there that are like, it's growing. You don't know what I'm like. Okay, it's growing to what? So that more kids want to go to Europe and play soccer? Fine. That's cool.
Yeah, you might be right.
I think more than keeping the best players. Like, I think it's fine to have the Premier League or, the French league or the Spanish, whatever, the big leagues, La Liga. I think that's fine. Maybe it isn't from I don't know, the so-called ugly Americans want everything to be here. I think that part's fine. I think where we lag behind is the technique and the fundamentals. I remember I was covering the NBA when.
Well, real quick, John, to interject on that. It's not only the technique and the fundamentals, it's also the intuition and the cohesion of playing together since you were a child. These kids in Europe play together in academies from day one. The same group of kids are playing together. They know where they're going to be. They know who's behind them and what way he moves. Our guys aren't like that. They just throw them together like an all-star team and say, go play, and we're going to practice for like 2 months and get ready for this tournament. You can't win like that.
Well, hey, you see Balogun, he has that mentality. Like, he's trying to give and go with people, and they don't know what he's doing.
They don't know what they're doing. Exactly.
Yeah. And, so he's making these great passes and, playing in the French league, wherever he plays. And
Callaghan's a very ironic case study in this whole
he's not
situation.
even American. He was born here, but he lived in London. So and he's Nigerian.
Well,
so
he was born here.
Yeah, he was born in Brooklyn.
Yes, but you can
so
see
he had
that
the opportunity.
He is very frustrated with his
choice.
teammates, that they are not quite up on the same level as him.
Yeah, you could see the difference. But so my mentality when I was covering the NBA and the US was still dominating pretty much. You could see it eroding though. And now you look at the NBA and how many, how many Jokic is arguably be the best, Luka all over the place. You have, foreign guys that have turned into superstars.
And one of the key reasons for that would be in those countries, soccer is still number one, but basketball is number two. Here, soccer would be number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on what area of the country you live in.
Well, my only point to bring that up was the assumption that, if just our best I hear that all the time. Our best athletes play basketball and football. And if they just played soccer, we'd win. No, we wouldn't. Because we still wouldn't have the technique and the fundamentals. It takes a generation.
Yeah.
Even with the best, the athletes are fine. The skill and the technique and the fun and the execution, which people hate when I say it, same thing in every sport. That's where they're way behind. Well,
and one of the reasons is, and if you watch the game, you would, as an American observer, one of the frustrating things I think for fans about soccer is, for instance, in basketball, you could just give the ball to the best player and he could put the ball on the floor, take you to the hoop, step back, shoot over you, cross you over. The best player can utilize his talent to beat you one-on-one. In soccer, you can't just start dribbling through people. Like, there's a wall of people in front of you. You're not just plowing through them. So you could have the best player in the world, and you could watch a game and be like, where's this guy at? You're talking about some guy. I don't even see him out there until the biggest moment of the game. But it's like a chess match. It's a 90-minute chess match. You have to know when that exact move is there to break out and make the move. And that's why you become great. It's not because you could just take over the game whenever you feel like it. It's because you know the exact move and when it is there to make, and you make it. That's why these players, the Messis of the world, are what they are. It's not because they can dominate at any time they feel like it. It's when they know when the time to dominate presents itself and they take it and then they convert.
Well, the comp with the Eagles is, look, I don't think last season was as bad as most people think. If you beat San Francisco in the playoffs, and even if you lose the next week, certainly if you lose in the NFC Championship game, I think it's a little bit different. But even if you get to the divisional round in Chicago, I think it's a different mindset. Same thing. I think it's a different mindset if the U.S. national team gets through Belgium and loses to Spain. Who would they have played Spain?
Yeah.
And loses to Spain. I think everything's fine. I think, and maybe I'm wrong, if they get blown out in the same fashion, maybe it's still as ugly. I think the ugliness of the loss against San Francisco contributes to the narrative. Is there an overreaction to the losing, no matter what? It's just going to happen.
Oh, it definitely contributes. You're right. I mean, and again, the U.S. team is at home. They have all this momentum. It feels like it's time to take that next step. And the disappointment of, it's almost like
as a Sixers guy, I'll say it to the Knicks. Like, I knew they were going to lose to the Knicks, Mike. I knew that. The way they lost to the Knicks was embarrassing. And that shifted my thinking. And I've been doing this for a long time. It still shifts my thinking. Yeah. The way they lost was embarrassing. You're coming off a big upset of Boston, which you haven't beaten in the playoffs in decades.
Yeah. But
Everything's feel good.
You can make the argument, guys, that okay, you beat Boston, you're down 3-1, you come all the way back, and you're kind of experiencing that like euphoria of doing that. And 2 days later, you're going into a buzzsaw that's playing their best basketball, well rested. Did you really think that you were set up for success? Probably not.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I knew the Sixers weren't winning that series, and they almost won. What was it, game 2? It was game 2. Yeah, they got blown out in game 1. They should have won game 2. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They collapsed in the end, and then they got boat raced here. But if they lose in 6 games, I think I have a completely different feeling. If that game is competitive and they lose 3-2, I think there's a completely different feeling.
You look at the Eagles, similar to, a situation where their offense struggled all season long. They're at home. They have the lead in the fourth quarter, even with this offense struggling. They go down and they score again, and the defense gives up that game. Really, in the end, the defense.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time.
Nick Fangio brought it up
twice.
I thought that was the biggest takeaway from that game that wasn't harped on enough, is that, yes, the offense stunk, but they gave you the lead twice in the fourth quarter at home of a playoff game, and the defense couldn't get the job done. And the Eagles looked at that, and obviously they had to go out and get a new offensive coordinator. Their reaction was, our offense wasn't good enough. We need to go get a new offensive coordinator. But the question now will be, defensively, you couldn't get the stop in the fourth quarter. Do you get that stop with this personnel now? Is that guy out there? Because you had Jalen Phillips last year. He's no longer here. You replace him with Bernard. You got that stop the year before with Jalen Carter. He gets the push up the middle against the Rams that wins that NFC Championship game for you. So do you have the personnel to get off the field if that same situation comes up? That's a big question, because we keep kind of wondering, is this defense better than last year's defense? The answer should be, it better be, right?
Yeah, certainly. Is it better than 2024? Probably not. It's tough to be number one, but they have a chance. Last year they finished, 13th overall, but like 8th or 9th in the more advanced statistics, the more meaningful ones. So they were top 10 in my mind. But yeah, they should be better than that. We'll see how good. But I'll tell you this, Mike. It's list season. I'm sure you've been seeing Fowler's list are coming out with the coaches and executives. All the offensive line lists are coming out. ESPN comes out with the best starting lineups. The Eagles are number 2. They got the second best offensive line. Saquon Barkley's still the 3rd best running back. They got 2 top 10 corners and 3 who got votes, because Tariq Woolen got a vote. What are we worried about? There's no, by the way, the people that say the national people, whatever, hate the Eagles, second best starting lineup. Really?
I was a little surprised by that.
That's reputation based. Was that your first thought? Because that was my first thought. Now, defense, if you want to argue, yeah, I'm fine. You could say they have the second most talented defense. And I would say, yeah, that sounds about right. But offense?
In the past, I think you went, because it was like the best starting lineups. Wasn't that what the category was?
Yes.
So in the past, you would say, we've had this conversation for however many years we've been doing this. And it's, you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley and the best offensive line. And, usually at the end, you would just, and they have Jalen Hurts. It's never, you have Jalen Hurts and this guy. And no, it was always, you got Brown and Smith and Barkley. And now you don't have Brown. So is that offense still on the national stage looked at and thought of the same as it used to be, even though it might be better with lesser personnel?
It seems like it is from all the indications. Like I said, second best offensive line. Barkley's still right there with Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with, to be frank.
Probably not.
So the reputation part of it is still there, but is that real? Didn't look real to me last year.
It's an unanswerable question because we just don't know the impact that Mannion will have. And in so many instances, that matters, right? Well, what the offense will look like, how comfortable this personnel is in the offense. How is Jalen Hurts going to run the offense? And quite frankly, at the top of the list is what the offensive line looks like. Let's be honest. Last year, I know the metrics would say they were one of the better offensive lines in football. That's great, but they were nowhere near where they were in the past. And that's one of the reasons why their offense struggled so mightily. Their offensive line was so dominant that they could essentially do whatever they wanted whenever they needed to. Last year, they could run the same exact plays from the year before, and they couldn't execute the play the same way because their line was not up for the task. And if their line is just good and not great, what does that mean for this team this year? I think that's a major unknown.
Yeah, that's fair. And that is the concern because the offensive line was, compared to everyone else, it's still a top 10 offensive line. But
and one of the reasons is offensive line play in this league. It's created to the point of you can't do anything in practices. So these offensive lines are not very good. And we've seen that over the years with many teams that have great skill. We always look at Minnesota Vikings for years, have these great skill players, but they can't block anybody, and it blows up their whole season.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of teams that have been similar to that, where you're like, man, the Cincinnati Bengals have great skill players, Burrow and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and their offensive line, just a disaster. They can't block for Burrow. And therefore, those teams can't reach their ultimate ceilings because their lines are so bad. Conversely, Philadelphia.
I'm amazed so few see that, Mike. I'm amazed.
Well, I'll tell you, we're in a society, in a world that is fantasy football oriented, and it's all about skill players. And the guy watching this can tell you who the fourth receiver is on the Cleveland Browns, which is great. But who's blocking for the Cleveland Browns is a big problem. One of the Detroit Lions, they have great skill players, but they really became this new version of the Lions that now win and have expectations because they built their offensive line up. In the past, the Detroit Lions remember when they drafted receivers in the first round for like 3 straight years? They had all these great receivers, and they stunk because their offensive line was always terrible. It wasn't until recently they finally started to go to the offensive line and then had the skill players to really make that team. 2 years ago was the year that they should have won, and they lost to Washington in the playoffs. That was the year that they
that's
really
bad luck, man, because they had a shitload of injuries on the defensive side, and they were playing guys off the street. That was their time. That's how quickly windows can close.
But you only take the Detroit Lions seriously that year because their offensive line was so good.
Yeah, and to your point, look, Frank Ragnow has to retire. And they're not the same. One guy, they still have Sewell. They still have, now they lose Decker on top of it 2 years. Now, all of a sudden, they're not the same team.
They weren't even a playoff team last year.
It's amazing how quickly it happened. And nobody sees it. Nobody sees it.
By the way, the same offensive skill players, right?
Yeah.
The difference was their offensive line was a mess. So they had the skill players, just like the Eagles did. That's how good the Eagles were last year, is they were able to overcome the fact that their line took a step back and still make the playoffs. Now, they got knocked out in the first round. What do you do to fix that? They went out and changed the offensive coordinator.
Is it dumb to expect a passing game to be better after getting rid of the best player in the passing game?
No, and that's what, it's a fair question, and that's what we're saying. It's like, is the offense actually better with lesser personnel because the scheme is going to be different.
I don't think it's a scheme as much as the effectiveness on first down. Like, if you ask me, if they're in a bunch of 2nd and 5s, yeah, the passing game's going to be better. If they're in 2nd and 13, the passing game's probably going to be worse than it was last year because you don't have A.J. Brown to bail you out, or A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to bail you out. Now you're going to be counting on lesser players.
I'm very interested to see what leap Devontae takes in the offense this year. How much they kind of lean on him. We do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We have listener mailbags. So people text in and send us their questions. And one of the big questions that we've been getting is how important will the number 3 wide receiver be in this offense? Because essentially that guy's been a nothing burger.
All they're worried about. All they're worried about.
It's
all
amazing.
They're worried about.
But that guy has been a nothing burger in this offense in the entire Sirianni era. The number 3 wide receiver has been a complete nothing.
They want number 3, so it'll be Mekhi Lemon or Dontavian Wicks, and the other one will be number 2. They're more interested, let's say it's Wicks, because everybody wants Lemon to succeed. They're more interested in how you get Wicks and Eli Stowers the football than whether Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson hold up.
No doubt.
I don't give a flying fuck if they get the football. I mean, seriously. It's amazing to me. It is amazing to me.
The questions that get asked a lot are number 3 wide receiver. Will we get more Tank Bigsby and
oh my God, Tank Bigsby
the offense? Yes. Well, and the other one would be, will the running back be more involved in the pass game?
Oh my Lord! Oh, thank you. I forgot to bring that up. Oh, there are some awful Saquon Barkley as a receiver statistics that came out yesterday. People don't know what they're wishing for, Mike. They do not know what they're wishing for. It's astonishing to me. But we know what we get with Mike Gill at Mike Gill Show. Make sure you follow him on the X platform at Mike Gill Show on YouTube as well. 97.3 The Sports Bash. You got to be careful. 97.3 The Sports Bash in South Jersey. 97.5 in Philadelphia. Over the weekends. Anything else you want to plug, Mike? Any watch parties this week?
I'll be in Wildwood on Friday at Pig Dog at Maurice Pier. They're having a flag football tournament this weekend, and we're kind of the kickoff to the flag football event on the beach in Wildwood. So Friday, and then on Tuesday, I'll be back in Wildwood at Yuri's for a All-Star Game celebration show.
What is that stupid rule that Wheeler can't be in the All-Star game?
Anybody? Well, so Mizorowski can't pitch. Otani can't pitch. Wheeler can't pitch. And there's one other guy. Oh, Skeens can't pitch. Because if you pitch on Sunday, you cannot pitch in the All-Star game on Tuesday.
Why can't you just at least name them as all-stars?
Well, Skeens was an all-star, Mizorowski was an all-star, and Otani was an all-star. They just can't pitch in the game.
Oh, okay.
So
why is Wheeler not in the game?
Well, he should have been named an all-star originally, and he wasn't. And now because he pitches on Sunday, he can't be a replacement for somebody because he pitches on Sunday. But he could have been announced as an all-star originally.
That was my concern, because that made no sense. All right, that makes a little bit more sense.
They took Luzardo to replace somebody because Mizorowski can't pitch because he's pitching on Sunday.
All right, well, at least that makes some sense. Because but he certainly should have been an but all-star games are stupid anyway. I've been on that category. I tell that story all the time, and I used to love all-star games when I was a kid. I used to be obsessed with them, and I go, why do I hate them so much? And I just realized one day, I grew up.
One of the reasons why we liked the all-star games when we were a kid is why we don't like them now.
Yeah.
We wanted to see our guy wearing our uniform, but now having one guy on every single team has kind of hurt the whole
I don't
situation.
even think that. I think you realize as an adult how meaningless it is.
Yeah, well,
like I used to get upset because I was an American League guy, and that was an era where the National League would win every year. And I was like, oh man, we can't, the American League can't win. It's like, who gives a shit? And they'd win the World Series, but you don't think that way as a kid. But yeah. Yeah, I just think they're exercises in ridiculousness. It's like, just get to the games. Just get to the real games.
The baseball game is at least somewhat realistic. It looks like
where they lost me is when that little Bud Selig, that little stretch where the winner of the game got home field advantage in the World Series.
Oh, I see. I like that. I enjoyed that.
Oh, Mike,
it made the game even more competitive.
Oh my Lord, that is the dumbest. Think if you're the Phillies.
You just said it. Who cares who wins the game? Now you.
Well, yeah, but if you're the Phillies and you're going to the World Series and you don't have home field advantage, even though you won 10 more games than the American League finalists, because I don't know, the Pittsburgh reliever fucked it up in the 9th inning. No, that is the dumbest rule in the history of sports. Bud Selig should be ashamed of himself.
I love that rule. Bring it back. Bring it back.
But yeah, that's a terrible rule. You and I are not going to agree with that one. We can argue about that later, but make sure you listen to the Sports Bash later this afternoon. Maybe Mike will bring it up.
Possible.
Mike, good stuff. We appreciate you doing it today, man. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Thanks, bud.
See everyone.
All right, there's Mike Gill joining us right here on Birds 365.
Yeah, I'm going to rip Gill for that one. Come on. That is just ridiculous. How could you bite for 162 games and you don't have home field because some moron from another team grooved a fastball?
I know. I guess Mike's point was it give some meaning to the game, so there's like a reason to watch it. I don't know.
I mean, that's just not fair to the.
I'm with you.
The relevancy of the league, to the relevance of the actual points of winning. I always thought that was one of the dumbest rules ever. But there you go.
Well, maybe it is. John, I wanted to start the second hour of the show here. I wanted to run through a little bit of the JMac list, and we'll look at some of that. But I wanted to start here with, you mentioned the Saquon Barkley statistics and how alarming they were in terms of the passing game. What did you read, Johnny Mac? What can you share with the people of Birds 365? And should the listening audience be concerned about Saquon Barkley in the passing game?
No, only if you're one of those knuckle. And if you've been listening to the show when you remember going back to those days, I would say, you use him as a slot receiver and you got a big advantage.
Yeah,
like, you've never seen him play football if that's your thought process. I've been talking about this since he got here because of his long stint with the Giants. He's not a good receiver.
But doesn't the projected scheme put him in that position more? Like a lot of these West Coast schemes do use, the pass to the running back. They call it the extension of the run game.
Well, there's different passes to the running back. Like if you're using him on a swing pass, an outlet pass, a screen pass, something from the backfield, okay, it's fine. It's not going to be terrible. He's not the most natural hands catcher in the world, although he did have a better spring. He seems to be working on it. What the problem is when he's lined up outside, which a lot of people, say, well, you got to get him. It's a mismatch for the defense, as most running backs are, to be fair, which people don't realize. But there are a few, like Christian McCaffrey, most notably Bijan as well. There are a few where it turns into an advantage. Now I'm looking for the exact numbers. The DBOA, and it's from Aaron Schatz and his staff from Football Outsiders, who now work for ESPN, plus this website FTN Fantasy but don't let the fantasy fool you. It's the Football Outsiders guy. So DBOA, he's bottom 5 when he's split out in DYAR. So it's all these advanced statistics. He's the worst in football. Now I think the Eagles know that. I don't think it's a concern but it's just further emphasis that the people who think he should be split out wide over, say, playing a receiver. If you want to go 4 wide, well, Lemon's got to be on the field. Wicks has got to be on the field. Hollywood's Brown is got. You're not creating a mismatch by splitting Saquon. But I think a lot of people don't understand that. Certainly because I've gotten so much pushback explaining it over the years. Now you have the data that completely confirms that. It's ugly. I didn't even think it was that bad. But it's ridiculously ugly. And to the Eagles' credit, they didn't do it a lot because they probably realized it's not good. But I think it should shut down the conversation. Now, they spent a lot of time, basically on every passing concept they have. It seems to be that either Saquon Barkley or Will Shipley are the last resort, the outlet receiver. And that part is fine. That's fine. If it's a dump off, occasionally if you have a screen, even occasionally if you have a wheel route and you get them on the linebacker, and you've seen that work in the past, all of that is fine. But when you're splitting him outside, it is not good. And they don't do it much, and I wouldn't expect them to do it much. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, other than it was eye-opening just how ineffective it has been in the few times that they do it. It was unbelievable. And I'll retweet. I did it yesterday, but if you want to put it up,
I see it. I see the article there from Aaron Schatz. But yeah, I mean, you think Sean Mannion will play to this, John?
No, I mean, no, they're not going to do it a lot. And they didn't do it a lot. They didn't do it a lot before, so I don't think it's that big of a concern. But it was eye-opening just how bad it is when they do it.
Yeah, right.
Which wasn't a lot. And you have it in front of you. I can't find it. So
I just saw your tweet and I opened up the article here. I can pull it up on the screen if you want me to here.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for the actual article.
Yeah, that's what I have up here. 1 second. I'll pull it up for everybody to see. Definitely not good for Saquon Barkley. That's for sure.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I do think it's important because I've been talking about this for years, and it's like what are people looking at?
Here's the running back, John. So you can see running backs. 28 running backs had at least 5 targets from outside the backfield, be it in the slot or out wide, and you can see they rank them all those numbers over there. And Saquon Barkley is the very last person on the bottom here. What does it even mean to have a minus 93.1 DVOA?
It means it's a freaking mismatch for the defense. How many times have I said you're like giving a defensive back a day off? You need to be a very good route runner. And it's very rare for a running back. You see some of them, but you see the drastic drop off from even Breece Hall to Saquon. And I don't know if that's the D. There's
the stings up here.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. What is DYAR? You said?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
Defensive yards. I forget, but you see but if you could scroll down,
you
see the minus 20 to minus 37.
Yeah, right there. Yep.
And then deep. So It's defensive yards above replacement. That's what DYAR is. So for the baseball nerds will probably understand it. So if you think about replacement level, like WAR, replacement level players, that's you don't want to be down that low. That means you're not good at that particular aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, they're right at the bottom here. Overall, the worst receiver out wide was Saquon Barkley. That's not what Barkley has done well. It's not what Barkley has ever done well. The worst running back in the slot was
ironically was Kenny Gainwell. Yeah.
Yeah. Kenny was a little bit higher up the list, I think, though.
And Chase Brown.
Here's Kenny here.
Which is he had a pretty good season in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, look, and I say the same thing with Jalen Brown as we bring in the Sixers. I mean, you have these analytics nerds that are like, all right, like Kenny Gainwell is asked to do that more often than he should because they don't have other options.
Right.
So when I talked about Jalen Brown yesterday about covering Joel Embiid, of course he can't do it, but he's willing to do it because they didn't have another option due to foul trouble and injuries and such. Like that means something. Like Kenny's a good receiver. So there's an indication where, the numbers don't tell the whole story. Saquon's not a good receiver.
No. You said this when they first signed him. Remember me and you used to debate about it. I'm like, oh, they're going to use him in the passing game. And
he's a great runner, phenomenal runner. And that's where he should be used. He is not a great receiver. He's not even a replacement level receiver.
So are you not expecting an uptick this year for Saquon?
No, I do, but it'll be behind the line of scrimmage from the backfield. Then you're fine. Like dump off. They'll dump the ball off more in theory. And he'll be on the field the most. So he'll be the final option. Now, is Will Shipley better at it? Yes, quite frankly. But Will Shipley's not good enough in the other aspects to get more playing time. So it's a give and take. So he'll be on the field, obviously, the vast majority of the time, and he'll get more receptions and more yards. So people might think it's better. But and from the backfield, that's fine. But if you start moving, and they won't, so it's kind of like a useless conversation anyway. Because even with those numbers, and can you put it up? Do you still have it there? Can you put it up?
Yeah, I got it.
Even in those numbers, they didn't do it much. They're not showing it there.
Where would it be shown? I didn't see it on here.
I think it's in the article somewhere, but I don't have it in front of me. So, but I could be wrong. But they don't do it a lot to begin with. So I don't think it's that big of a problem. But just for those to explain to those why they don't do it, because a lot of people think they should do it. They should not do it.
Yeah, I mean, he writes here, the worst running back in the slot, blah, blah, blah. Barkley ends up taking both the worst DYAR and DVOA crowns when you combine them. Zach Berman reports that Barkley might see a greater role as a pass catcher in 2026, stepping into A.J. Brown's target vacuum. And Barkley was a league average pass catcher in 2018 and 23 in New York. For the most part, however, he's been a replacement level guy, and he's certainly not someone you want to split out wide very much. Keep him in the backfield and let him play to his strengths.
Yeah, that's exactly it. As long as he's in the backfield, it's fine. He's average. It's
Did they
fine.
put it at the top, this article, John? Is that what you were talking about? Let me see.
I don't know. I might have just looked it up. I don't remember after I saw it, but they didn't do it much. And, and again, I think it's key to point out they're talking about when they're split out as a receiver, which is dumb to do, except for like 3 guys in the world. Anyway, like if you're other than as a decoy, I should say, if you're splitting out running backs to run routes and be mismatches, Like, you're going to lose a lot unless you have Christian McCaffrey and maybe Bijan Robinson. Even Jahmyr Gibbs is not, the kind of route runner. Like, if you can get him on angle routes on linebackers, yeah, it's a huge mismatch. But if you put him outside and you're forcing a DB, even a safety on him, that's a mismatch for the defense. So there's like maybe 3 guys in the world you should be doing it with, and he ain't one of them. So it's not that big of a deal. It's only a tool to explain to all these, because there's so many people that think they should do that. And it's like, trust me, you can go down to Darius Cooper and Johnny Wilson and even Danny Gray. Those guys are better receivers than Saquon Barkley, if that's the way you want to go. And the Eagles aren't. So it's not that big of a deal. But to Zach's point, I know exactly. Again, people misunderstood what Zach is saying, what I'm saying right now. Yes, there's going to be an uptick, but it's all outlets. It's all swing pad. It's all stuff from the backfield. In fact, when Kellen, when he first got here, and they would always put him out wide, but just as a decoy. And I didn't see much of that at all this spring. Like, all the passing was just dump offs and outlets from the backfield, which is fine. And that's where the uptick will come.
Well, we'll see what it looks like, Johnny Mac, for Saquon Barkley and the Eagles in the passing game this year. Going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button. John, next thing I want to discuss here is the list. And I know you don't like lists, but you are doing one right now on SI, right? And the list that you're doing is the most talented Eagles. Is that correct, John?
No, it's the best pure football players.
Best pure. All right, so I conflated the two, but that's what I meant. The best pure football players, not the most important to the team, just the best pure football players.
Correct.
And where are you on that list, John?
We're up 16? To number 16, which came out this morning, which is Pro Bowl, even though he didn't deserve it last year. Center, Cam Jurgensen. By the way, Cam will tell you that.
A little lower than I thought for Cam.
Well, it's hard coming off last season. I mean, he wasn't good last season. And there's obvious reasons why, but if you're talking about the offensive line and its struggles, I mean, the main struggles came from the injuries of Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson. And you can argue who fell more from their typical. Now, Landon is probably better in general, not probably, definitely. And he's got the bigger reputation. But no, I think he's right where he should be, pretty much. I think if you look at the individual, I had him at 18. Ed had him at 17.
I'm just trying to think of who you have in front of him. I mean, there must be guys like, I guess, Campbell, Nolan, Morrow. I mean, are these guys all in front of him?
Well, Campbell already went.
Campbell 19. Went. I'm trying to remember the names that went. That didn't go.
Well, all right, we'll run them down real quick. 25 is Tank Bigsby.
Okay.
24 is Jake Elliott. I did not vote for Jake Elliott.
Okay.
23, Mekhi Lemon. I did not vote for Mekhi Lemon.
Okay.
22 is Braden Mann. I had Braden Mann at 22. Exactly. Drew Makuba was 21. I had him at 21 exactly. Tyler Steen was 20. I had him at 20 exactly. Jahad Campbell was 19. I had him at 15. So I think that was too low.
I think 15 is a little bit more appropriate for Jahad, but go ahead.
Nolan Smith was at 18. I had him at 14. So I think that's way too low. Not way, but you get the point. Tariq Woolen was 17. I had him at 16. And Cam Jurgens is 16. I had him at 18.
Okay. Yeah, when I did it, I had Cam around, I think 14 or 15, right after Grenard and Davis, right above Campbell on mine. I just did one because
I don't want to give anything away, but
no, you don't have to give yours away. I was saying when I wrote down just a couple, just some names of what I had. John, the list I wanted to do today, though, which I think is different than the most talent or the best pure football player, is the most important Eagles this year in 2026, which is a different gauge. It's a different metric. I think we can get out of the way that number one on that list is Jalen Hurts. It'll always be Jalen Hurts, the quarterback of the football team. Number one most important Eagle is obviously Jalen Hurts, but I do think it gets a little interesting after that. You know, I mean, there's the obvious next five. You could probably put them in, you know, whoever's pick your players on where you want to put them. I'm sure there might be some variance, but it would be a clump of the same five players. After like 7 or 8, though, I think it gets interesting. I don't know if you'd have to do this kind of off the top of your dome. I'll share with you my top 10. You tell me what you think. 10.
This is most important.
Most important. Yep. It's for 2026. 10, I have Zach Bond. 9, I have Landon Dickerson. 8, I have Cam Jurgens. 7, I have Quinyon Mitchell. 6, I have Devontae Smith. 5, I have Saquon Barkley. 4, I have Jalen Carter. 3, I have Jordan Mailata. 2, I have Lane Johnson. And 1, I have Jalen Hurts.
I mean, most of the names are, you said Jalen Carter, right?
I said Carter at 4 behind the 2 tackles. Then Saquon, then Smitty at 6, Quinyon at 7.
I would put Saquon at 2 probably.
Okay. All right.
Above the tackles. I think it's going to be a big Saquon season. Not in the receiving game, but running. And he's got to perform better. Everybody else, I kind of, you got the names pretty much. Cooper should probably be on there. He wasn't.
I had Cooper right outside.
To me, it's guys who like Devontae should be high because he needs
obviously no AJ.
He needs to step up. Like the health is, the offensive line is the key to it all.
Well, that's why I had Cam and Landon above Cooper, because I'm like, I think those guys are more important this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I almost want to count them as a group.
I know, right?
Because then I think you lose out on some. Like defensively, I think like Campbell's important. Like I'm high on him, but he's got to step up. Marcus Epps is important right now.
Yeah, I have Epps on there. A little lower, but I have him.
Like to me, it's guys that have to be out of their comfort zone. Like I know what Quinyon is. I know what Cooper is. But I don't know what you're going to get from Marcus Epps.
Yeah, I mean, knowing what they are still makes they're still important. Knowing what they are. Number 11, I have Grenard. Number 12, I have
Grenard's
Cooper.
tough because he hasn't been here. Like, and I even like where I put him on my list. I should have put him higher, to be honest. But now that I think about it, but yeah, he's very important.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the number 1 edge, so he's going to be huge. Cooper 12, Goddard 13, which maybe could have been a little higher. Davis 14, Mekhi Lemon 15.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I hate most important lists. No offense, it's like
none taken.
Because I look at it. I look at it differently than I think most people. Like I'm not factoring in, and it's hard to not factor in good players because good players have to play well.
Yeah, and they fluctuate too. I don't think that's fair from you. I mean, think about Saquon Barkley.
Well, the fluctuation, yes, the fluctuation comes in for different reasons. And like when you see the fluctuation, Jalen Carter as well, then you say, like, I wouldn't have put Jalen Carter. I would have put him as a constant like going into last season. Well, he wasn't. So now he becomes extremely important. Like Saquon Barkley coming off the season he had, yeah, you don't worry about him, except for the touches and the history of running backs. But now you're worried about him. The quarterback's the quarterback, and you're worried about him, but he's the quarterback anyway. Dallas Goedert in this offense probably pumps him up a little bit because the tight end's got to be a huge part of this offense. But yeah, the consistency of Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, it's almost expected at this point, is what I'm trying to say. Now, look, doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but I think if we did another list of players you're most confident in, I think they'd be near the top. Maybe we should do a most confident. Who are you most confident in? Off the top of your head. If those two aren't 1, 2, they're real close.
Wait, who? Cooper and Quinyon?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're up there. I mean, I think Quinyon has surpassed Cooper for me, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'm saying, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm like. Jordan Mailata is like I'm very confident in. Like, I'm not worried.
How old is Mailata? Is he getting old? I feel like he's been around for a while now.
He's 28, 29-ish.
Damn, he's still in his 20s. All right, that's good news.
He just turned 29 in March.
Speaking of the offensive lineman, did you see the subtle shot that Chris Cooper took?
No.
Let me find that real quick for you.
Chris Cooper taking shots?
Ingram, Chris Cooper.
Wow.
Yeah, Ed Ingram.
Oh, yeah, he's a bad player with Chris Cooper.
Yeah, he recently criticized the former Vikings O-line coach Cooper, highlighting questions about player development. And then, I think he's recently praised, the new coach that's come there. Let me see if I can find here's the quote. He's taking a shot at Cooper while talking about his new offensive line coach. He says, "What better place for them to be than Houston? I came here, I excelled. Shout out to Cole Popovich. He never let me get complacent, and he always challenged me. Personally, I've always thought him a great player. All I need is the right person to help me. Coming here was probably the best thing to happen to me in my career. Coming here and having a coach. Coming here was probably the best thing to happen to me in my career. Pretty much take me under his wing and kind of hone in my skills because the skills were there. It just needed to be honed in and controlled a little bit. It's helped me out.
Oh, well, he didn't mention him, right?
No. He didn't mention him. It was like a passive aggressive.
Look, I brought him up because he was like a second-round pick, and he was a disaster in Minnesota. And the problem wasn't that he was a disaster in Minnesota. Sometimes that happens. He went to Houston, and he was pretty good. And the same thing happened with Garrett Bradbury. He was pretty much a disaster in Minnesota, and he went to New England, and he was okay. And then I brought this up when they hired Cooper, and obviously the Vikings moved on, partially because of those reasons. So I think it's an important point that I brought up. But now Christian Darrisaw turned into a big-time tackle before he got hurt. Donovan Jackson was a first-round pick a couple of years ago. He looks like he's going to be a really good player. So, there's good stories as well. Brian O'Neill's been a long time. Brian O'Neill's probably has been the second best right tackle in the NFC to Lane Johnson for years. But he was there before him, so I don't know if you give him credit for that. I mean, even Lane brings up when we talked to Lane, he brought up Brian O'Neill out of the women. He's a really good player. But I don't know if he deserves credit for him because he had been there.
You think there's going to be a negative effect on Mailata without Stoutland? I mean, his entire career in playing football has been with Jeff Stoutland.
No, not at all. I not at all. Like at this point, he's on autopilot. He's just good.
He's good enough now, right?
Yeah. Like that's why I'm not as worried with Chris Cooper. I think the problem with Chris Cooper is when this group ages out.
Well, what about that? What about the human aspect of it, John?
Look, all I can tell you, one of the positives of the offseason was those guys were excited about doing something new. Like I think they were in a rut. They're doing the same thing. Like I remember talking to Kelsey 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and
he was
when
tired
Kelsey,
of it. Right?
He's like, I'm so sick. I've heard him install run fit. He's like sick of it.
And it's taxing on the body. It's very taxing on the body. Even Lane, you could hear Lane kind of had some relief of like, I've never been helped before. This is nice.
Yeah. So I think it's time. I think it was time. But, and also, look, egos involved. A lot of these guys have big egos. Coaches I'm talking about. A lot of them. And I would say almost every head coach has a big ego. How do you not, if you think about it, if you reach that level of your profession? But the bottom line is, if the head coach tells you, I want to do this, you got to do it. I mean, there's no, like, I don't even know why this is a debate. Like, there's no, I don't care who you are. But the problem is he's a franchise legend. Everybody loves him. There's some ego involved.
Definitely some ego involved.
But I don't care if it's Nick Sirianni or Doug Peterson or Rich Kotite. If the head coach tells you this is the way we're doing it, you either get in line or you get another job.
Right.
I mean, there's a flow chart. Now you can debate if it fails, and by no means am I trying to say I'd rather have Chris Cooper than Jeff Stoutland if I were starting an offense. But guess what? If I was starting an offense and I want to run a specific scheme, and that's what they're doing, then I want somebody who's an expert in that scheme. And Stout isn't. And not only that, he didn't want to do it. So, and they still wanted to keep him. Just take the run game stuff away. So I realize that's an unpopular opinion, but if the head coach wants to do something, even if it's a mistake, you either do it or you don't do it. And Jeff said he didn't want to do it, essentially. And I mean, then you got to move on.
So you don't think the ramifications of that loss will be great? Players are
not as long as the 5 that are there. It may, like, you have all these. I was talking about before. You have all these second year guys, and some of them have to develop. And like, if Jeff Stoutland was here, I would have a lot more confidence that. So you're talking about Drew Kendall, you're talking about Miles Hinton, you're talking about Cam Williams, you're talking about Willie Lampkin, you're talking about Holland Pierce, you're talking about Jake Majors, all these young second-year players, basically. All of them aren't going to hit. But, Stoutland has proven with the developmental aspect, probably 1 or 2 of those guys are going to hit. Look at what he did with Brett Toth. Took him a long time, but again, it was pretty effective. Cooper doesn't have that history as you just bring up Ed Ingram. Look, Ed Ingram was a freaking disaster. And all of a sudden he goes to another and he's good. Now, maybe that's as simple as he got a wake-up call. He's a second-round pick. He's, expectations, they basically hand him the starting job. They keep starting him. Plays poorly. Maybe it's as simple as a wake-up call. Maybe it has nothing to do with Chris Cooper. And even when they move on, it's like, somebody's got to be a scapegoat. I don't even know if that's real. You never know with assistant coaches. So I'm not blaming that on Chris Cooper necessarily, but it doesn't look good when guys underperform with you and then go somewhere else and perform. In the case of Ingram, much better. In the case of Bradbury, certainly better, not significantly, but a lot better. It's a worthy question to ask, and that's why I asked it when they hired. But the difference is that he runs the scheme they're running too. He's got history with obviously Kevin O'Connell, and they run a similar operation. So that's where it comes into it.
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like this year for the Eagles offensive line with Chris Cooper. I did think that shot from subtle shot. It wasn't a direct shot, but it was a passive aggressive shot from Ed Ingram there on Chris Cooper. We'll see how Chris does here in Philadelphia. John, I will say I'm excited to see what your top 10 looks like when it comes to the best pure football players in the Eagles, because there's no A.J. Brown, who's had the crown for a little bit for you, right? How many years did he have the top spot or second spot?
I think
3 for you?
Three in a row. Well,
and then Lane was 2?
He was number 1 2 years, and Lane was number 1 the other year, and he was number 2, I think.
So now,
so
AJ
over the
Brown's
past 3 years,
now.
he was either 1 or 2. And really, when he came in his first year, didn't quite know, because I remember doing the show with Jody at that point. I remember saying, "Well, I knew he was good. I didn't know he's this good."
Right.
Like I didn't expect him to be what he was.
And where was Quinyon Mitchell last year? Because I would expect him to break.
I don't have last year's in front of me. He was certainly high, but he's certainly going to be higher this year.
Yeah, I could see him breaking into the top 5. Carter, Barkley. It's going to be interesting to see how you guys have it in the top 10. I do think it got a little more interesting, obviously, post A.J. Brown. And Lane Johnson's aging. Like, is Lane still the best pure football player in the Eagles? Yeah. If he's 100% healthy,
when he's out there, but
yeah,
he wasn't out there a lot last year, so that impacts things. It's not about resume; it's about coming into the season. So I personally, again, everybody's different, but personally, I'm trying to take a snapshot of where they are right now. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It's not perfect, but that's what I'm trying to do. In other words, like what Lane Johnson has done in the past is not impacting me. Like what Jalen Hurts did in 2022 and winning, being the best player on the field in the Super Bowl is not impacting me. Where is he right now? Where's that snapshot? And yeah, it was more difficult. And there's far more volatility in the top 10. Like I'm looking at our list right now, like the second player on the list got voted number 1 by one voter and number 5 by another. We got a 4 and a 7. We got a 2 and an 8. One player got rated 2 on somebody's list and 8 on somebody else's.
I would guess that would be 2.
We got a 4 and a 9.
I'm sure there's a variance with Hurts. I could see Kerr putting Hurts way up top, and John not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think maybe
not the biggest variance. He's not the biggest variance. Jalen Hurts. I can tell you.
Is
that.
It might be Carter.
The biggest variance are 2 players, one on offense and one on defense.
All right, my guess would be Carter on defense.
That's probably a good guess. Well, and it's obvious because he's got extreme talent and he's coming off a bad year. Like he
Yeah,
did not
right. So
play.
some
He did
people will
not.
grade him off
He
the bad year, and
yeah.
some people will give him the benefit of the doubt because of
Yeah.
the uber talent, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, that's and everybody's got, even though you try to define it, I found out when you do these lists and you try to define it, because I'm the one who defined it as succinctly as possible, people just go off with the baton anyway. So, and because they look at the world there's nothing wrong with it, but they put impact, they put history. Like, it disgusts me that Jake Elliott's on this list.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, great player, great franchise, awesome player at the height of his career. Again, it's a snapshot right now. He's been arguably the worst kicker in football for over a year. But, he made all the kicks. He's, his history is his history. He was an all-pro kicker. But to me, that's not what this is supposed to be about. Obviously, the league moves very quickly, and that's why it's got to be a snapshot, because it's going to change tomorrow. And by the way, like, I didn't put Mekhi Lemon on the list simply because he hasn't done anything in the NFL. That's it. That's the only reason. He better be way higher on this list next year for the Eagles' sake. But it was, I can tell you, and this is how you, in my mind, having covered all of these teams, it was harder to do this year, which indicates to me that they're not as good as they have been in the past.
Right, more variance. I still, for the life of me, John, and I know it's the ship has sailed. Me and you have talked about it before. I don't understand why they're bringing Jake Elliott back. Like, I get it, he's got to it's like $4 million. Like, in the grand scheme of things for the Eagles, I mean, they've moved mountains. I get it, you don't want to move mountains for a kicker, but do you want to move an anthill? I mean, remember, John,
I do think,
I'm not saying that the game would have played out the same way, but poor Verts hurts, and that play might have never mattered had Jake Elliott made the first point after on the Dallas Goedert touchdown in the first quarter of the playoff game last year.
I said
they're down by 4. It's like, this guy's.
Well, I'm with you. He doesn't belong on the list, but I will say this:
I don't think he belongs on the team right now. Especially with the new kicking rules, John. Think about it. The Dallas Cowboys have to get to the 50 and they can get points on the board.
Yeah, well, he's definitely not Brandon Aubrey.
No, he's not.
I said a lot of nice things about Howie before. I'll give you a negative. He's very loyal. And this is not a good sport to be loyal in. You got to be ruthless almost. You talk about if he makes this field goal, that this play doesn't matter. If Aaron Cepas kicks the ball the right way, the Eagles probably win a Super Bowl. And they brought him back. There's 2 levels to that loyalty. One, I think people forget he got hurt late in the regular season.
Right.
And they brought in, who was the former Titans punter they brought in? Maybe somebody.
I forget the guy's name. He didn't have a very good show.
Who wasn't very good.
No, he didn't have a good show.
At the end, he was great. He had a great career. Again, was it Brett Kern? I
think it was. That sounds right.
So he had a great career, was a great punter for a long time, and they brought him in, obviously late in the season, had a ton of experience, former All-Pro. But he was at the end of his career, and he punted in 4 games in the first 2 playoff games, and he wasn't good, but he wasn't terrible. So it was 6 games, and then you have the week off as a number 1 seed. So you're talking, and the week off between the Super Bowls. So you're talking like 2 months. And they decided CPOS was working his ass off, and they wanted to give him the thrill of kicking in the Super Bowl. And boy, it didn't work out for them. So there were 2 layers to the loyalty. They just should have let Brett Kern kick in the Super Bowl. And look, he's not going to boom him 60 yards, but he's going to kick the football the right way. If you say we're trying to pin him down to the left side, he's going to kick it to the left side. It was one of the underrated, most disastrous Howie Roseman decisions of this generation, to be quite frank. And that was
Is there
the
some
first level.
positives to the loyalty, just from a sense of making players want to play here?
Well, you want to win a Super Bowl, or you want to, I mean, there's a give and take to that.
There's definitely a give and take, and obviously,
And you're not thinking that way. Is that this is all hindsight? I realize that, but Brett Kern, and I can't even tell you with 100% they would have kicked the ball the right way, but I bet you he would have kicked the ball the right way. And CPOS came in and they let him kick, and the rest is history. Tony, everybody's covering the ball this way, and he kicks it the wrong way, and Tony gets the big return. And that's partially a big reason why they lost the game. So Howie knows that coming, and he still brings him back the next year. Now, why I'm telling you this? He started the season, and I believe that it really had a negative impact on Aaron CPOS from a mental perspective, making that mistake on that stage. And he was just terrible at the beginning of the next season. And they cut him and brought in Braden Mann. So I give you that story, which has worked out really well, because Braden Mann has been tremendous and was on the top 25 list, and deservedly so. I bring up that story for 2 reasons. 1, to point out the loyalty and how it can bite you in the ass, but 2, to point out, look, if he comes back and they're showing the loyalty and he starts shitting the bed again, they will move on quickly. And you can do that easily with kickers. It's not like you got to build up chemistry, and there's a little bit with the holder, but I mean, guys do it all the time, and they'll pick the best kicker on the street and they'll bring him in.
Yeah, hell, the Rams changed their kicker in week 14, and that was late.
I mean, they'll bring him in. Same thing with people say how Rocco Underwood's the long snapper, and right now he's. If everybody does their 53-man, well, you got to put Rocco Underwood up. He's guaranteed. Well, he's not guaranteed. He's competing against everybody else. So everybody who has 2 long snappers, and there are some teams, the Eagles will keep an eye on them. And if Rocco Underwood doesn't perform in the preseason games, or they'll bring in somebody else. Last year, Charlie Hewlett got hurt, had that core muscle surgery, and they brought in Cal Adamitis. Those positions are you can move very quickly. But with Jake Elliott, Howie's got tremendous loyalty. I agree with you. I think they should have had competition at the bare minimum. But he's got tremendous loyalty. Sometimes it bites him in the ass, but it is a position you can interchange very quickly.
No doubt about it. Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Got about 6-7 minutes left to go on the show today. I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Good to see all of the great people. Mayan is in here. Daz Deals. Terrence, what's up, Terrence? Prince, Bruce, what's up, everybody? Appreciate all you guys for being here. Here's Brandon Snyder, John, a $10 super chat. Thank you, my friend, for supporting the network and the show. He says this: fast forward to January 11th, and the Eagles missed the playoffs.
Oh.
What are the ramifications that you see happening? Drastic or subtle changes? Love you guys and enjoy the insight daily. Thank you, Brandon. J Mac, your response.
Oh, they missed the playoffs. Drastic. They may reboot this whole thing if they miss the playoffs. And that could mean coach, that could mean quarterback, that could mean both. But yeah, I mean, you've seen the history with Jeffrey Lurie. I mean, somebody's got to pay. if you don't reach expectations. And the expectations we just talked about. They got the second best starting lineup in football. They got the second best offensive line in football. They got the third best running back in football. People still think this team's really good. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to Nick Sirianni about the expectations. He knows what the expectations are. Everybody in that building knows what they are. And you know that they don't run away from that. That's you don't want to have low expectations. You know, you want to have high expectations, but when you have high expectations and you don't reach them, or you don't come close to reaching them, and that would be like last year, they didn't reach their expectations and you saw the change. They still won 11 games. They still made the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, then it becomes even more drastic.
Right. Doesn't the looming, I mean, you often say, John, it's easier to move on from a coach than a quarterback, which I think is obvious. I mean, it's obviously true. How many coaches do you see move on or get fired or whatever? But doesn't the Jalen Hurts contract situation complicate that tremendously?
Yeah. And I got to get over that mental hurdle myself, because I'm like, I'll tell you right now, bluntly, I'm not paying $60 million for what I've seen over the past 2.5, 3 seasons. That's me personally. Now, you can argue that's the cost of doing business. I realize they won the Super Bowl in between. But boy, that is a lot of money that you're taking away from the rest of the roster for, at best, if you're being kind, efficient at times quarterback play. And then on top of it, if you're taking out the running part of it, like there's no effing way I'm paying for that.
I don't, it's hard for me to disagree with that, Joe.
The problem is, all right, what's the escape hatch? What's the other?
Would Howie want to give this roster to a rookie? Would he try and go the route of like a restoration project, like a Darnold or Mayfield, something like that? I don't know.
Mac Jones?
Yeah, Mac Jones. I could see that.
Well, if you're playing this offense, you want to play this offense. He's learning this offense under Kyle Shanahan right now. Look at what Kyle Shanahan did for Sam Darnold. I mean, I'll tell you what, if I'm a team who wants to play Kyle Shanahan's offense and I see what Sam Darnold's done, I'm sniffing around Mac Jones. I mean, and I don't have to pay him.
In some ways, Mac Jones looked better than Purdy last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not a big Purdy guy. So I said way back then, I said, you know what? I predict that was one of my predictions to Jody. I said, Sam's going to win that job because Kyle's going to go to camp and say he's better. Wasn't right, but I was right the next year.
Yeah, you were right in the long term.
Yeah. And you know, I feel the same way about Mac Jones, not to the same level because Sam's got immense talent, arm talent. It's the third.
Yeah, definitely more so than Mac Jones. I remember Sam Darnold coming out. I mean, he was confident with the arm.
But I still think he can be a really good NFL starter. I don't know if he can be great, but in the right system, which I think he's in for him, with the roster building ability of Howie Roseman. We're getting way ahead of ourselves, but
I got to pay. I mean, I got a super chat about it if they don't reach expectations, you know.
And I got to pay him 25 Malik Willis money versus 60.
Hurts isn't going to be 60, by the way. It's going to be 64, 65.
Yeah, what would you rather do? I mean,
yeah. I know my answer. I mean,
And you know what's coming with Quignon and Cooper and Jalix, et cetera, potentially. Jalen Carter, still got to deal with. I mean, be a lot easier to breathe. Now you still have the ramifications that you're not giving away Jalen Hurts. You're not, there'll be desperate teams. So that part of it factors in. You'll get assets back. But that's and people say I hate Jalen Hurts, which is laughable. But this to me is a league-wide thing. Like there are very few people that I want to pay $65 million to be my quarterback. And even the ones I would be more of a begrudging, well, I have to. Because that's the cost of doing business. Like, to be honest, I don't want to pay any of them $65 million.
Yeah, I know. That I get. All right, one more super chat. Terrence the jeweler gives him $5, and he didn't put the comment, but he did follow up with it. I'll get to it. Give me a second to find it here. Here he says this. Terrence, thanks for the super chat, brother. He says this. J-Mac, given all these gambling ramifications recently, do you think it's even remotely possible that the punter was paid to be that bad? I mean, he was terrible. Chiefs dynasty, maybe?
Well, look, this is one of the problems with gambling. Like, I talked to Aaron enough to know, no, they really beat him up mentally. He just made a mistake. But I get why people think that, and that's sports' problem. They got to deal with that. Like I was thinking, I said that on the show yesterday. I'm like, well, these guys are just not running to the ball. They're not. They're hesitant. I'm like, are they the U.S. national team? I'm like, what are they doing? Anytime you see this weird, I get why people think that way. But I mean, that really. I'll tell you what, he was really broken up about it.
Yeah, I do understand where Terrence is coming from. I mean, you've seen a couple NBA guys get hit for betting on game. You got obviously Sorsby. I mean, we got, I get it. I get it. I do, but
yeah, that's why they shouldn't have gotten in bed with, and that goes for every sport. They shouldn't have, but they did, and they gotta pay the price to that. But in this particular instance, no, I just think he made a terrible mistake. It's a low line drive in the wrong direction to where the Gunners were supposed to go.
Yeah.
And Brett Kern might have kicked that thing 38 yards, but it would have been in the right direction. I guarantee you.
Yeah. All right, Johnny Mac, your final thoughts on a Wednesday edition of Birds 365, my friend.
Yeah, didn't think I'd be talking about Aaron Cepas today, but that's what you get on this show. So you get, Howie's very loyal. And remember, you said it on this show. I said it, and I'll say it again. Football moves quickly. So just because Jake Elliott's here now doesn't mean he's going to be here in week 4 if he continues to perform poorly.
I know. I'm surprised you haven't applied that a little more to the quarterback.
Well, the quarterback's different.
I'm just saying football moves quickly.
But that's a year-to-year thing. I'm saying, Jake Elliott, after his last 18, 24 months, is a week-to-week thing. Like, he's got to perform. Obviously, they're not going to move on from Jalen Hurts in week 4.
No, I know that. I'm just saying it's been 3 years. I mean, since we've seen.
No, I just said I'm not paying. I'm not paying for the way he's played the past 2+ seasons, 3 seasons, really. I'm not paying $65 million. So if we're going 65, I'm not paying for that. And you take the running, yeah, I'm already in that game. I'm not paying for that. Now, can he go out and perform and prove he can be a top tier pocket quarterback? Sure. and then I'll revisit. But for what I've seen over the past 3 years, yeah, I'm not paying. Why would I?
Understood. Johnny Mac, great show today, my friend. We will catch up with you tomorrow on a Thursday edition of Birds 365. Well done, my friend.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Johnny Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town. We are about 20 days out, everybody, from Eagles training camp. What's going on, everybody in the chat? Prince, you like that? Prince, did you like that, Prince? I know you did, Prince. I know you did. Here's Pin, my guy Pin. What up, Pin? Pin says, welcome back, bro. Hey, Pin, it's great to be back. Thank you for welcoming me back. I missed you, brother. He says this, Sixers channel or no? Well, let's see, Pin. The business budget is tapped, but if you want to host on the Sixers channel, all right, and you have even a smidgen of talent, I'll do the show with you, all right, and we'll give you a cut of the revenue. How's that? How's that, Pinsta? Wow, even when I smack my hand out, you guys hear that? Wow. You got the ring on there. Boom. Good stuff, Pin. I'd like to do a Sixers channel, especially with Jalen Brown. I like the Jalen Brown move, dude. I don't get people chirping about Jalen Brown. I'm like, dude, that's the kind of player I like. That's the kind of player I like. Dude plays with an attitude. Dude plays aggressive, physical, overperformed from where he was expected to be. Rose up, obviously, last year with Jason Tatum going down. I think he averaged 28, 6 and 6. I mean, this dude, Jalen Brown's a stud. This dude, Jalen Brown's a freaking stud. And he's the exact type of mentality we need in this city right now in Philadelphia. I'm so done with the superstar buttercups, the Tobias Harrises of the world. You know, the only guy like this that we've had recently was Jimmy Butler. And they got rid of him. About time we get a guy with some attitude. I like Jalen Brown and the city of brotherly love. Jalen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, the emergence of VJ Edgecombe. All right, who's the 4 they got? That white dude. What's that guy's name? I can't think of his name right now. And Embiid, I'm open to trading Embiid. Is he tradable? Is Embiid even tradable at this point? Build around those guards and Jalen Brown. You don't need a superstar. Dean Wade, thank you. You don't need a superstar center at this point. Get a guy like the New York Knicks have. What's that guy's name? He just left. I'm blanking on his name. Knicks center that left. What was his name? Not Karl Anthony Towns. Who's the other dude that just left? Mitchell Robinson. Oh yeah, Twiz. Because I think Joel Embiid. Yeah, the guy stands at the top of the key. Twiz. You want to get rebounds? Go and get me a rebounder. You're paying Joel Embiid $55 million to stand at the top of the key and clog it up for our fast, aggressive, good young guards. Come on, man. I'm kind of out on Embiid if you can't tell. Like, all right, dude. I'm out on Embiid. Fucking Dean Wade. The Dean stuff. Dean Wade. Can that dude get a rebound? Is he any good, Dean Wade? I can't say I know much about him. Dude averaged 5 points, 4 boards, and 1.5 assists. Oof. Is Dean Wade worth a damn? I don't know. Ryan's a Heat fan. He says this. John Clark is smoking crack with all this LeBron and Philly smoke. It ain't happening. He wants a beautiful city in the sun. Philadelphia's a beautiful city. Zander, do you want the Sixers to get LeBron? Cullen, I kind of do. I won't lie to you. You know, when I was a youngster, Cullen, I loved LeBron James, dude. I've told the story before. I remember I was outside. We had a push mower, and my mom used to make me cut the grass with the push mower every Saturday. And if anybody's ever used a push mower, they come with like a little latch on the bottom, or at least some of the newer ones did. And it like gives you like front drive assist. All right. And I had this real rocky yard. So it was like a lot. It took like 3-4 hours to do. And the front push assist or the front wheel assist or whatever the hell it was, the drive assist stopped working. I mean, right. So I was like 14. I don't know how old I was. When did LeBron decide to go to Miami? It was a while ago. How many years has LeBron played now? 20 something? And the front, the push assist stopped working. And I'm out there sweating my freaking heebie-jeebies off. And I remember pulling out my phone. I was listening, I don't know, so maybe Take Care or something. And I see the decision. LeBron has decided to go to the Miami Heat. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I ran up to my dad. I'm like, yo, LeBron's going to the Heat. My dad was never a big LeBron fan. U.S. soccer sucks. They blow. Smith, I'll never put them on my television again. Bums. LeBald is about as old as Jerry. Yeah, but I just want him for the lure. You know, come on, he's still a superstar. I don't care what you say about LeBron James. The guy's a superstar. Dean Wade can guard the paint in the perimeter. Sixers need good. I like it then. Let's go Heat. Ryan, I can see him going back to the Heat. I can see that. I mean, I like how you said earlier, Ryan, he wants to go to a beautiful city, and then one of the top teams right now is Cleveland. Ryan, I don't know if you've ever been to the city of brotherly love or you're just a fake Eagle fan, but Philadelphia is significantly more pretty and beautiful than Cleveland. All right. Backup center Ariel Hook Porting is an upgrade over at Mbona. I never liked Mbona. I already kind of didn't like LeBron, and then he called himself the GOAT, and I really didn't like him. That's fair. Look, people don't like him. People love him. It is what it is. Curtis, I can appreciate a polarizing player. One thing that can't be denied is LeBron is an extremely fucking talented person. Come on. Zander, are you a fan of someone telling you that you're stagnant? That shit rubbed me the wrong way. What are you talking about, Saquon? Nah, but Prince, I think you in life as a man have a different. Like it's different to say someone they're stagnant. Like football is a short life in the grand scheme. Most football players are lucky to play more than 3-4 years in the NFL. That is, if you get past 30, you're rare. You're very talented. So, like, if you liken it to being stagnant in life, like when you look at a 70-year-old, are you like, this 70-year-old is about to learn some new tricks? You're probably not, right, Prince? I think that's what he was coming from. But I get what your point is. Any updates on the opener? I think my dad sent out an email, didn't he? I'm pretty sure my dad sent out an email about it. I'm not sure. Yeah, he did. He sent out an email. 78 days until kickoff. JAKIB Sports tailgate update. He sent that on June 27th. Yeah, he sent out the email for the updates. Thank you, Cullen, for confirming receipt of the email. Roll, Philly, what up, roll? Another guy I missed. The new Saquon narrative is crazy. I see all these reports of Saquon not being good if the blocking isn't perfect. Guys getting hit behind her at the line 50% of the time. I agree, Roll. I think he's still one of the best backs in football. Nah, that was a terrible take. All right, Prince, you're fair to think that, my friend. They got Link ready for this. James, you coming up for the opener? Come on, James. Ryan's fighting for Florida like he's running for governor. Ryan, who you voting for in the governor race? Are you a Byron guy? Are you a Libster? Are you a James Fishback kind of guy? Who you voting for down there, Ryan? Or Ryan's going to hit me with the, how dare you ask who I'm voting for? Old people love to say that shit. Sorry if we have any old people listening. My aunt will say that sometimes. You can't ask someone who they voted for. Like, I can ask whatever I want. They don't have to tell me, but Saquon is not bad. I don't think anybody's saying that. The Sixers GM is looking. Oh, definitely. I was a Daryl Morey hater, Colin. A massive Daryl Morey hater. Ryan says I haven't even thought about it yet. LOL. I think a big here's Roll Philly. I think a big help to the new offense is not having to force AJ the ball. Defenses would just come into the game saying double AJ, piss him off, they'll force them. Come on, Roll. Roll, I love you, but brother, are you just talking yourself in circles as to how the Eagles are going to be better without one of their best players? Like, come on, Roll. Like, let's not be delusional. If you want to make an argument that there is a silver lining, I'm okay with that. A silver lining could be this. Well, I guess that's what you're saying. A big help. All right, that's fine. I'm all right with that. I don't think the offense just gets better by getting rid of one of the best players. Here's mine. Look at Z all interested in what will become of the fastest state of Florida. Oh, Mayan. Quit fucking crying, Mayan. Mayan, have you missed me that bad you were waiting 2 weeks to cry? Mayan, have they not been treating you right in this chat? Are they gassing you up too much, Mayan? I love you, Mayan. Look at Jeremy. What a fake news. He says, to me, since you won the Super Bowl, it's been your curse. It showed. Oh, James. When's the last time you guys have won a playoff game? Oh, I guess a couple years ago. And then you got absolutely cremated by the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, you know what we got last night? I don't know if you guys would like it. Let me see if I can show you. Should I show you guys this? We got the I guess when you get like a videographer for a wedding, they send you like a minute, like an excerpt type of thing. Like a short version of the video. So he sent the first. Oh, I can't play because the song. I don't think I can play because the song. Yeah, it's Walking on Sunshine, the song. It's a fire video, though. It really is. I'd love to show it, but I will get flagged for copyright. Damn, I didn't even think about that. I was hoping to show it, actually. Here, let me see if I can play it without the... make sure there's no sound coming out of this. I'll mute it. You can see the video without the sound. The sound makes it way better, but it is what it is. I can't play it with sound. Here's our wedding. It's just the first glimpse of it. You guys can get a look at the day. A look at what the day looked like. You'll see me crying there. Look, there I am crying. You got me, Prince. Or who said it yesterday? Was I crying? There's me coming out like a savage. Damn, the music makes it fire. There's no music on this bitch. There's my sister 1, sister 2. Mom. There's my beautiful mama. There's your boy Big Z. And then it says the Krauses. Bang. Bang. There it is. I wish I had the audio. The audio is fire. The audio is good. Here's Princess. Prince, are you a Prince? Come on. Sometimes you like PMS. Prince. Zander, let's make a bet about the season. I know you think we can win 12 games. So before I agree, why do you say we'll win 12? I'm guessing you're going to talk about the defense. Well, they won 11 last year. John's right to point out that they basically gave up for week 18. I think their defense is going to be better. And I think the offense isn't going to be as bad, because how can you be as bad? Because it's easy to go up when you start from the bottom. Started from the bottom, now we're here. You know, I mean, so I think the offense gets a little better. I think the defense is still great. I think the division is still kind of weak, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, I think 12 is appropriate. I actually could see him winning 13. But I got to see on this offense. Twiz says, when are you going to drop the baby registry? I should have dropped the wedding registry, because your boy burnt a hole in his wallet over in Italy. All right. Your boy burnt a hole in the wallet. Oh, look. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I brought this upstairs so I could wear it on the show. Wear it on Zander time. Woo! I'm gonna kill the stupid background, which is messing up my fire Italian lid. I have another one downstairs. Should I get that one too? It's amore. Yeah, I should have rocked it all show. Would have been fire. Fresh hat, yeah. I got a Kango version too. All you need is a cigar. Yeah, I do need a cigar. I've actually been smoking more cigars. I love a good cigar, Twizzler. The other one's fire too, honestly. The other one's a little bit more neutral. It's like I guess like a beachy hat. It's more like, this isn't like, what do they call it? Ryan, you're a dork, brother. Go lift your Jeep another 6 inches. All right, Ryan gang. Either we have a top 10 run game or this season is a bust. You think so, Curtis? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, A team. I'm with you. Here's Prince. Okay, the bet is that the offense will be in the top 10, Zander. Damn, I'm asking questions and I'm Princess. Jesus, you're like Argentina. Oh, Prince, what are you talking about? I'm like Argentina. I don't even know what the hell that means. I don't watch soccer, dude. You got the wrong guy. You think the offense will be top 10, Prince? I don't. I don't think the offense will be top 10. I do not think the offense will be top 10. I don't think they need to be, dude. I really don't. I don't think they need to be. I really don't think they need to be top 10. All right, what's the bet? What are we betting? I can't call you Princess for 6 months? What are we betting? A-team, I'm with you. Jammers is trolling. Let the rebuild begin. What does this mean? B.bop-ba-dum-dum Z's the scat man. What does that mean? English, Reyes. Twiz, I'll take a baby swing. Maybe I got twins on the way. Who knows? Giants might be. I don't know. I'm not a big dart guy. I can't lie to you. All right. Well, what do I have to do for you, Prince, if you win? All right, Prince. I'll take that. What do I got to do for you? Look, you can like switch this brim up if you want to. I think at least. I'm walking on sunshine. Whoa. Fucking has gas. I was rocking this thing all over Italy. How about Danny B? Yeah, I saw that. Leo Carlson, is that who you're talking about? That's it. That would be a good move. Anaheim fumbled that, huh? Nick Sirianni and Jalen have not had a losing season yet. I don't see it happen. I don't either. I don't think they have a losing season. I just predicted 12 wins. I think 12 wins is fair for this team. I really do. Even with the loss of AJ, and I've been tough on that. The only thing I'm struggling with, like with the bet with Prince, is like, isn't it kind of naive to think we're going to be a better offense when we did get rid of, like, whether you liked AJ Brown or not, he was probably the best player on the offense in terms of skill. So it's hard for me to just be like, okay, get rid of him. Now we're better. You know, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But Prince gets a signed Jalen Hurts jersey with a note about how much Nick sucks. That's hilarious, Curtis. Curtis is on a roll. How about Zander wears a Hurts jersey every day for the no, that's every day for the Twins. What are you, my mother? You want to dress me every day for 6 months? That's stupid. Do you think the Phillies can finish their job? I don't know. We'll see. If Prince wins, he gets to come on the show. I'll have Prince on the show. Prince, you want to come on the show right now? I doubt it. Dude's probably smoking a blunt on the couch. I don't think he wants to come on the show. Prince will go LJ on me. A better season means Jalen spreading the ball around. I would agree with that. And Bird Gang Girl is laughing because that's exactly what she's doing. Bird Gang Girl's got me up on the TV. She's got an ashtray to her left, a little blunt holder to her right. She's got a cup of water with ice in it. She's sitting back feeling good. She said, wish. I'm at work. There you go. There you go. 22. What's 22? Yeah, Wheeler should be an all-star. Wheeler's a stud. No water, just coffee. There you go, Bird Gang. I got some coffee this morning, too. I swear to God, if another Jalen bails on a JAKIB appearance, I'm going to choke slam. Oh, come on, Rice. Yeah, you Jalen. Rice, this is why I love you, because you stand on business. I mean, I can respect a guy that stands on business, even if he speaks some delulu stuff. I'm telling you, without a top 10 run game, Jalen will have his worst season with AJ gone. I agree more with Curtis than I do with Prince. Ryan says he hopes the Phillies. Ryan, you're a fake Eagle fan. I work for the government. How do you work for the government? Weren't you in the can a year ago? Prince, weren't you in the can a year ago? How can you work for the government after being in the can? Benjamin Franklin. I've seen that guy on who's the guy on Instagram that calls them that? I've seen that guy. Good thing we have our line in Saquon. I do think Saquon's going to have a good year. We'll see, though. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I love all you guys. It's good to be back. I'm excited for Smitty. Me too, Ricardo. It's a good point. All right. So we'll see. I think Smitty will get a Pro Bowl appearance this year. I do. I think Smitty gets a Pro Bowl appearance this year. So, We'll see. All right, guys. Love all you guys. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you being here today, per usual. It's great to be back in the mix with all of you guys. I want to thank all the super chats and everything for all the supporters, the memberships. We appreciate all of you guys. I'm feeling a big season. I don't know if that means for the Eagles. I don't know if it means for JAKIB. I don't know if it means for the community. I'm just feeling some sort of a big season. All right. James, that does not mean for you. I think the Commanders stink. No, I'm just kidding. But I do feel a big season on the horizon. In what way? I don't know. I'll keep you posted on that thought process and how that evolves. Love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.